Today we're going to use Autodesk Inventor to build a snowman. Your snowman's going to have three parts. The body, which we'll build today, looks going to look something like this, and then we're actually going to build a hat and carrot nose tomorrow, and we'll put them together in an assembly. To start off in Inventor, you're going to open up a new part file. Your menu might look a little bit different than mine because you're starting from the beginning, but again, just open that new part file. And we're going to learn how to use a new command today. The start is the same way as we did in the puzzle cube. You're going to start with a 2D sketch. So click on Start 2D. Then I'm going to use the XY plane. It's easy if you use the same plane as me, but you don't have to. Now, a snowman has mostly rounded figures. So instead of using rectangles like we did before, we're going to use lines and arcs today to make our snowman. Now to start off, we're actually going to draw the base of the snowman first. Remember, snowman's 3 snowballs stacked on top of each other. So we're going to do the bottom one first. The way I'm going to draw that is I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to make that 16 inches high. Now you can type in 16 as you make it, or if you didn't do that, if you drew your line first, you can use the dimension tool, or just dimension and click on it. Now I already have that, but if you didn't have yours, that's a way to add a dimension. Next I'm going to add an arc. Now I'm going to use a 3-point arc. And to draw an arc, you click on first the top and the bottom of the arc. So this is the top of my arc, this is my bottom, and then you drag out how far you want your arc to go. Now I want my arc to be 8 inches out. So I'm just actually going to type in 8 and hit enter, and it'll move it for me. If you had clicked and dropped yours into place, then again you could use the dimension tool and actually click on the arc, and that would let you do the radius. But I already have that one, so I don't need to do that again. So I'm just going to cancel out of there. Once you have all your dimensions in place, you should at the bottom have the words fully constrained. Okay, if you don't have the words fully constrained, that means you're missing a dimension somewhere. So double check that you have your height, that you have that radius, and then the other one you might be missing is how far away, drag this a little bit better, your arc is from the bottom. If you notice when I drew mine, I actually clicked on that yellow dot at the bottom, that's called the origin. That's going to lock it into place, which will help us later on when we make our snowman. But once this arc is done, okay, so I have this little semicircle, I'm actually going to hit Finish Sketch. And then the command we're going to use today, let me zoom out a little bit so you can see better, is called Revolve. And what Revolve does is it spins some sort of face around a central line. So in this case, I'm going to spin this half circle around this center line called an axis. Now you notice in my menu, axis is highlighted, so that means I need to click on the axis I want to spin around. So I'm going to click around that straight line, and notice now when you hit the check mark, it's made a sphere for you. So that is the bottom of our snowman. Now most snowmen have 3 snowballs stacked on top of each other, so we are going to create the upper parts next. Now the hard part, normally we would just go like in a puzzle cube and start another 2D sketch, but we can't sketch on a round surface. Notice when I try it won't let me click on it. So in order to create a surface we can sketch on, we're going to use this browser bar over on the left side. We're actually going to go into the origin folder, and we're going to find a plane. Planes are flat surfaces that we can draw on. So I'm going to draw on the XY plane. If I actually right click on it, I can just create a new sketch. Okay. Now mine is kind of hard to see, so I'm going to hit front, that'll center it for me. And I'm actually going to draw my next 2 arcs at the same time. We talked about earlier how you want to be as efficient as possible when we use these. So I'm going to draw 2 arcs at once. I also want to make sure that my arcs connect to the snowball that I already have. Okay. So in order to do that, I'm going to use something called Project Geometry. Then I'm just going to click on my circle, and what that's done is it's traced the outline of my circle, or that sphere, so that I can connect my next drawing to it. Now I'm going to draw a line that goes up the middle. That's going to be my axis to spin around again. This time my line is going to be 20 inches tall. Okay, and I like to just type in the measurements as I go. And then something I'm going to do to make sure this line is locked into place, from the bottom of my line to the bottom of that sphere, just make sure that that's at 16. If you have something that's a little bit off, change it to 16 right now. Okay. Next up, we need to draw our arcs. Now this time we're going to have 2 arcs. One for the middle section of the snowman, and then one for the snowman's head. So let's say we want to draw the head first. That's going to start at the top, and I'm just going to kind of guess a place in the middle, just an estimate. And then my radius this time will be 4. Now you'll notice right now that green means it's not fully dimensioned, and down at the bottom it says I still need a dimension. Because they want to know how far apart these ends of the arc are. So what I'm going to do is dimension that from the bottom to the top of the arc, like that. Should be 8 inches. Now I have one more arc to do, and that's going to be the midsection of its body. So I'm going to connect that right at the bottom there, and along with the top of this one. And this time I want a radius of 6 inches. Oops. Now sometimes it might not give you the correct radius, so that's fine. You can change those by clicking on dimension, and then just clicking on that one. Make sure that's 6 again. There we go. That got it locked into place. Sometimes it does weird things with dimensions. Once you have those two pieces, make sure again that you're fully constrained. It doesn't say that you're fully constrained at the bottom. You need to add a dimension. Now that I have both my arcs drawn, I'm going to finish my sketch, and I'm going to revolve these two pieces. And that's where this is nice. I can revolve them both at the same time. Now this time you're going to notice the word profile is highlighted. That's because the computer sees that there's multiple things, there's multiple faces that I could spin, and doesn't know which one to select. It doesn't do it for me. So I'm actually going to click on both of these faces. Now that they're highlighted, those are the things I want to spin, and then we have to choose an axis to spin it around. So click on the word axis, and then click on your center line, and it'll spin it around. From there, the last thing we want to do is make our snowman look a little bit more realistic. So I'm going to go and change its appearance. Remember, to change an appearance, you go under the Tools menu. And if you look under the appearances, there's actually an appearance called Snow. Scroll down until you find Snow. Click on that. And there we go. My snowman's turned white. From here, you're just going to save your file. And then tomorrow we're going to be adding a hat and a carrot nose to our snowman.